Okay. So what is a class? Class is a నీ speaker off చేసేయండి,
data.
mute చేసేయండి. Whenever you have doubts, you can on your speaker and you can speak. Okay. So class is a collection of data and operations performed on that data. Okay. So if you want to make it more general, so when we define the class as a collection of data and operations performed on data, so then comes a question, what is data, right? So we have to define what data is, right? So to realize the definition of class and object and all, so first, what are the terms used in this class definition? We are using the term data. It is a collection of data. So we know what is the meaning of collection of, but we don't know what is data. And operations, so what do you mean by operations? When we say performed on data, okay, we can understand that some operation will be performed, but what are those operations and how we'll be performing operations? So we need to discuss about data and operation, these two terms, operations, right? So coming to data, data is represented by variables. Instead of using these three terms, I'll use simply variables as of now. Because you're a beginner, I'll use the term simply variables. Okay, I'll not differentiate them as instance variables, local variables, or static variables. Simply I'll call them as variables, and we'll discuss about different types of variables in a Java program later. After completing the definition of class and object, then we'll see uh, what are different types of variables and how to use them in a program. So then you'll understand that very well. Okay, as of now, data is nothing but it is represented by variables in a program. Then coming to operations, operations are represented by what? Methods. So that means in your Java program, you'll have two parts. First one is variables, second one is methods. So you must understand that your program will be composed of two parts, which is first part is variables, which will store data, and second part is methods, which will perform operations on that data. So when you say operations, what are the operations means? It can be any operation. It can be reading the value of a variable or writing value into a variable, that is assigning value to a variable, or performing some arithmetic operation between two or more values of a two different or three different variables, or printing the values of those variables on the screen. So anything, any operation which involves that data is said to be an operation performed on that data. Okay. Uh, then, so we'll see some more topics which we need to understand before writing a Java program. So, as such, we are saying class is a collection of data and operations performed on the data. But how do you represent data? Data is represented by variables, and operations are represented by method. Then how do you represent a class? So class, as we said, it is a collection of classes, a collection of data and operations. We need to use some structure for that class, right? So that structure of that class can be given this way. I'll put this in comment. So how to create a class in your Java program? So use the keyword. Your Java program provides many keywords which have a specific meaning, and those keywords must be used only for that purpose which they are meant for. You cannot use them for any other purpose, right? So what is the meaning of the purpose for which they are meant for? Means what is the purpose of a pen? It can be used to write something on a paper. Can we use that pen to write something somewhere else for any other purpose? Will you use it to write on floor or on a wall? No, it is meant only to use it to write it on a paper, right? We cannot use it for some other purpose. So in the same way, keywords in your any programming language, not just Java, many all the programming languages will provide you some set of keywords. So as such, Java also provides some set of keywords. So one among those keyword is a class. So the purpose of this class is to create a this class keyword is to create a class or define a class. So we have to use that keyword only for that purpose. We cannot use it for any other purpose. Okay. So to create a class, we have to use a keyword class and give a space and give a name for that class. Say for example, I'm giving a name for the class as user. So because I'm saying it is a collection, we have to open that collection within this braces. So we have to write all these data and operations within these braces only, within this braces. So this is the syntax for creating a class. So you have to use the keyword class followed by the name of the class. So here in our example, the name of the class I have given as user, then open the brace and then close the brace. So whatever is written inside this class within the braces of this class, we call it as a definition of the class. So this is the definition of class. So what is this definition going to contain? It is going to contain a collection of this data and operations, right? So I'll remove that and I'll put it here as a comment. So to indicate that this is the beginning of the definition of class. Okay. Then within this class, I can create variables like this. Say int, or I'll create some string or something. So this is name and say so I'll create another variable, say role. Okay. So these two are now variables, but we call them as instance variables. We call them as instance variables. So why do we call them as instance variables? Means we'll discuss this point later. As of now, you consider it as an instance variable. So totally we have created two instance variables. So now I'll create a method, one method. So now, as we know earlier from C language functions, so every functions in Java are called as methods. So I'm defining a method called a read method. So every method like in C will have either parameters or return type or both, or it may not have anything. So if a method does not have a return type, then its return type will be mentioned as void. If it does not have receive any parameters, then its parenthesis will be empty. In case if it is returning a value, then instead of this void, it must have some int, float, string like that, right? So if this is an int, then there must be a statement at the end of the method definition, which is nothing but called as return, and you have to return what type of value? Integer type of value. So uh, what integer value you are going to return? Say for example, this role is a variable of type integer, so you can return a role variable like this here. Because it is an integer value, you can return, you are permitted to return that value, right? So you don't want to return any integer variable, instead you want to return directly a value, say return 1. 1 is an integer value, you can write a 1. Right. It depends on your purpose that you are writing the program for. So what you want to return, you can return as per your requirement in your program, right? But in this example I am saying simply 1, or you can use the variable role, because role is an integer variable, you can return a variable also. Or instead of returning a variable directly, you can mention an integer value like this also. So anything you can do, but it depends on the purpose and your requirement in the program that you're writing for. Okay, fine. So why the name of the method I have chosen as read means, because I want this method, when I call this method, I want this method to do something for me. And what is that something? I want to assign some value to this instance variable name, and another instance variable role. So what are the data types of these variables? The first variable data type is string, second variable data type is role. So because I want to assign some values to these two variables, and I want that task to be completed by this read method, so I need to write the code inside that read method for that purpose. So what is my purpose? I want these values to be assigned some, these variables to be assigned some value. Say name is equal to some value, and similarly role is equal to some integer value I want to assign. But what value you are going to assign? Say when you're calling this read method, you will supply this read method with two different values. One is of type string to assign that value to the variable name, and the other one is of type roll integer, so that you can assign that value to the roll number, right? So when somebody is calling from outside this program, say here I have another class. Okay, I have a main method defined in user demo another class. So from here I want to call the read method. So what I want that read method to do? I want that read method to assign some value to this variable name, and another value to this variable role. So how will read method know about what value you want to assign? It doesn't know, right? So it is your responsibility to supply that value, or you need to use some mechanism in this read method itself, here itself, to read the value either from the keyboard or directly assign some value. Say if I'm assigning directly some value from here, say uh, name is some Srujan, so I can assign this way like this. So I can assign values directly like this. So if I assign this way, when I call this read method, I need not supply this value Srujan or this value 456, because directly I am assigning those values in my read method, right? What if you don't want to assign this specific value, you want to assign different value each time you call the read method, right? What is this method going to do? If I call this read method two times, each time I call that method, the name value will be same Srujan, the roll number value will be same 456, but I want to give different value. Then what I have to do? Each time I want to give a different value, I need to edit this program. Instead of Srujan, I have to write something else, some XYZ, and instead of roll 456, I have to give some 1 2 3 or something. So each time I want to give a different value, I need to edit my program and I need to remove these values and give a new value, new set of values. So instead of doing that, if you make a call to the program, read, sorry, for example, if I create an, you know how to create an object and why to create an object, right? So let me create an object here for the class user, say u1. So this is how you create an object. The syntax is class name followed by object name is equal to new operator and the constructor you need to call. Okay, so what is this constructor going to do means this constructor is automatically going to initialize the instance variables of that class, whichever class for which you are creating an object now. For that class, how many instance variables are there? Two instance variables are there, name and roll number. So both these instance variables will be initialized with some initial value. If it is a numeric value like integer or float or double, they'll be assigned with 0. If integer value will be assigned 0, if it is floating point then it will be assigned 0, 0.0, double also 0, 0.0, like that it will be assigned. But if it is a string type, then it will be assigned with a value called null value, null, null value. Okay, so in that way, depending on what type of instance variables you have created in your class, all those instance variables will be initialized with some value. If it is a string, it will be initialized with a null value. If it is a numeric variable, that is like integer or float or double, they'll be assigned with a value 0. Okay, so that is the purpose of this constructor, and this constructor is nothing but a method, and it has same name as that of the class, and its purpose is to initialize the instance variables of a class with some value. And what are those values means? Numeric variables or primary data types like integer, floating point or double variables, they will be assigned with value 0. If it is a string, it will be assigned with a null value, right? So now that you understood how to, what is this constructor and how to create an object, so how do you make a call to that method? By using the object that you created, u1 dot read. Okay, so when I call this method like this, you must see that the method name that you are mentioning here must exactly match with the method that you created here. Okay, so the method name is read, so it must match here exactly read along with the case. If it is small letters used here, then it must be small letters used here also. If it does not have any parameters, that means the parenthesis is empty here, then you can leave this parenthesis empty here. Okay, this is the point. If instead of this one, if you have some int x like this, say int or say string. Why I am using string means because my two instance variables are name and roll number. One of them is string and the other one is roll number. So I want to pass the same type of variables. Say I'll give string n comma int say x, right? So these data types must be exactly matching with this uh, instance variables data type. One instance variable is string, the other instance variable is roll. So that's why I'm taking this way, because in this context, because my purpose of this read method itself is what? It is to initialize these two variables with values. So what is the data type of these two variables? One is string, the other one is roll number. So that's the reason why I am taking parameters also as string and roll number. First one is string, second one is integer. Why I need to take these parameters? I can use this itself, right? Name value directly as string within enclosed within double quotes like this, and roll number value simply like this, right? And here let me give void here. I don't want to return any value, so I'll remove this return statement also here. If you don't pass these parameters like this, what will happen? Name variable will be assigned a string Srujan, role variable will be assigned with a value 456, and I'm calling u1.read. So when I call u1.read, what will happen? This code will be executed. What is the code that is there in the read method? That will be executed. Okay. So when it is executed, name variable will be assigned Srujan, role will be assigned 456. Until you make a call to this method, this code inside this read method will not be executed. Only when you create an object and make a call like this here in this main method, then only it will be executed, right? So until then it will be simply passive. The code will be available, but it will not be executed, the method code. So which one will be executed from the beginning? From the main method. The main method is the first method to be executed. So execution will begin only from the first line of your main method code. Then from here, if you want to execute any other part of code in your program, any method or anything which is there in another class or in the same class, then you have to make a call to that method from this main method only. Then only the code inside those methods will be executed. Otherwise, they will not be executed. So this is an important point. So now when I call the read method, what is it doing? It is assigning name variable with Srujan, role variable with 456. What if I want to use a different string value? Instead of Srujan, I want to give something else, right? Right? And instead of 456, I want to give something else. How to do that? So instead of assigning directly these values, I can do something else. I can use here these parameters like this, string n comma x, and I can assign value of n to name and value of x to role. But what will be the value of n and x? Whatever you pass when you call the read method. And you can call the read method any number of times, so initially, say I'll pass Srujan and 456. So why I have to write like this means, in the declaration, in the definition of that read method, so the read method has two parameters. First one is string and second one is integer. So when you call that method, the values that you are passing, their data type must be exactly matching with this data type. So what is the first parameter's data type? String. So you must pass as first parameter here when you are calling the method only a string variable, or you can directly pass a string value. So if you're directly passing a string value, you must enclose it in double quote like this, right? So then comma, what is the second type of parameter? It is an integer type. So I need to pass an integer value. So I'm passing 456 like this. So what will happen? This Srujan, the string value, will be copied into this variable n. When you call the method read, what will happen is this Srujan will be copied into this variable n, and 456 will be copied into x. Okay, and the order must be same. You cannot give 456 first and Srujan next. It must be in the same order where you have defined the read method. So in the read method, it has two parameters, right? First parameter is string and second parameter is integer. So when you are calling that method also, you have to pass first parameter string only and second parameter integer only. You cannot interchange it as first parameter integer and second parameter string. You cannot change it. So whatever you have defined in the class during its definition, in the same way you have to pass the parameters matching with the data types. So this is nothing but the method definition. It is called as method definition. Okay, so in the method definition, how you have mentioned, how many parameters you have mentioned, and what is the type of each and every parameter, and what is the order. In the same order you have to pass. But like you mentioned here, the data type as string and int, you need not mention the data type when you are calling the method. You have to pass only that particular type of value, that's it. You need not mention the data type of those variables. So that is the difference between calling. So what is this calling method? So this statement, what is it doing? It is calling the read method. Okay, so this is method definition of which method? Read. So in the definition of that method, whatever parameters you have passed, how many parameters you have passed, and what is the type of those parameters, and what is the order of the parameters. In the same order and in the same number you need to pass. Here I have two parameters, so you need to pass two parameters here. And the order of the parameters is first one is string, second one is integer. So here also first one must be string, second one must be integer. Okay, you cannot change the order, right? Is that clear? So this is how you make a call. So when I call this read method, I'm passing Srujanan 456. Now I don't want this values, I want to use something else. I can call it, and this time I can pass another value. Say I'm giving a new name, that is ABC, and a new roll number value 123. So this time when you call this read method, what is going to happen? ABC will be copied into n, 123 will be copied into x. So the same n, if it is assigned to name, name will have now what? ABC, and roll will have what? 123. Earlier it was Srujan and 456. Now with this statement it will be changed to ABC and 123 respectively. So in that way you can make different names. So what will happen to the previous values Srujan and 456? They will be erased because you are calling with the same object u1. You want this Srujan and 456 to remain as it is, then create another object. So you can create a new object u2 like this. So instead of using u1 here, I'll use u2 here. Then both these names Srujan 456 will be there and ABC 123 also will be there, right? So I'm adding one more method to this class user. So this method name I'm giving as display. Why I'm giving the name of the method as display? Because the purpose of that method is to display those instance variables values. Okay, so why the name is taken as display means this method is going to display the values of name and role variables. So that's why I've taken display. It is up to you what name you want to give to this method. But when there are multiple methods, no two methods must have same name. So because I have taken this as read, I cannot define this method again with the same name read, right? So I'm calling this method only to display the value of name and roll number, but name and roll number are already created and their values are also assigned by this read method. So you need not pass any parameters to this method. So when you want to pass, when you have to pass a parameter to that method, only when they are required. If that method is not having any variables or their values initialized with, then you can pass that method any parameter. But what is the display method doing? It is displaying the values of name and roll number, right? So but before this display method we are making a call to read method, and the read method is performing the assignment of name variable value as n and role variable value as x, right? So already these values are assigned, so you have the variables name and role available, and their values are also assigned with Srujan and 456 respectively for object u1. For object u2 the values are abc and 123. Okay, so when you call, first thing you need to do is you need to call the read method. You cannot call display method first, because only when the read method is called these variables name and role variables values will be assigned. Once they are assigned, now you can call the display method to display them. Before you assign values to this name and role, if you try to call the display method, you will get an error here, or you may get a null value for that one. Roll number, because it is an integer value, the default, the constructor will assign a 0 value for that, and name value will be null because it is a string. So this will be done by the constructor of the class, so those values will be displayed. But if you don't want that values to be displayed, you want to display the values that you pass when you call that method, then first you need to make a call to read method, then you have to make a call to the display method. Okay, uh, so it is up to you. You need to decide that order, which method to be called, which method must be defined, and depending on how you define those methods, which method to be called first and which method to be called next must be decided. Because I want this display method to display the values of name and role, right? And I want read method to assign some values to the variables name and role. So which one must be performed first? Because you cannot display the values of the variables without assigning any values to them. So first you must call read method, then you must call display method. Okay, so I'll call read method, and then I'll call, after calling read method I can call using the same object u1, I'll call display method. Similarly, after calling u2.read also, I'll use object u2 display the second object's values. So what will happen? Program execution begins from your first statement in the main method. The first statement, what is it doing? It is creating an object u1. Second statement, it is creating an object u2. Then the next statement, what is it doing? It is making a call to read method by passing Srujan and 456. So this Srujan and 456 will be passed into this variable uh, n and x respectively. Then in this read method definition, what you are doing, you are assigning the value of n to name and the value of x to role. So automatically value of n is Srujan, so name also will have now Srujan. X is 456, so the value of role will be 456. Then after that you are making a call to display. So when the display call is method is called, again this code inside this display method gets executed. And what is this display method doing? It is displaying the value of name and roll number corresponding to object u1. So object u1 you call read method with what? Srujan 456. So display method also will display the same Srujan 456. Then after that I am calling read method using u2. u2.read I am passing abc and 123. So the read method now will receive abc in n and 123 in x. So abc will be assigned to name, 123 will be assigned to role, and after that you are making a call to the display method using u2. So u2 corresponds to abc and 123. So when the display method is called, these two system.out.println statements execute, and they'll display abc and 123 this time. So in that way you can create any number of objects and pass any number of and you can call the read method and display method that many times. So each time you call the read and display method, you need to pass, you will be passing new values, right? So now if you understand this one, let us discuss about these instance variables, why they are called as instance variables. Because when you create an object for a class, the object will be uh, associated with, it is nothing but a Xerox copy of the class. Xerox copy of the class means what? So what are the members of class? Three members are there. First member is an instance variable name. Second member is roll number, roll. Sorry, four members are there. Third member is a method, void read method with two parameters. Fourth member is also a method, void display without any parameters. Right? So totally you have four members in this class. Now if you want to access these four members, how to access them? Using that object for this class. So we are doing the same, u1.read, u1.display to call the method. Similarly, if you want to directly access the values of those name and role variables also, you can use u1.name, u1.role. Similarly, u2.name and u2. Somewhere in system.out.println statement. If I don't want to use this, if I don't want to use this display method, I can directly display them without use of this display method also. Say for example, I'll remove this display method, for example. Then can I call this display method? I cannot call because there is no display method defined in user class. So I cannot call. So this will not be permitted. Similarly, this u2.display also will not be permitted. So how to display the values of name and role corresponding to u1 and corresponding to u2? You can do it directly by using the system.out.println here. So how to access the name variables value? Because you are not referring it inside here, when there is display method, directly you used plus name here because you are accessing the variable name and roll numbers value within the class definition. That means inside this braces. So directly you can access them. But because now instead of accessing these values inside this class, I'm accessing here in user demo class, another class outside the class, right? So here how to access it? You have to use the object name u1 dot and write name. And similarly to access the roll number, u1 dot roll. So like this you have to write. So this is related to object u1. The name is Srujan and roll number is 456. Similarly related to u2 also, you need to write the same system.out.println statements. But this time here instead of u1 I have to write u2. This is u2. Okay. So this is how you create objects and access the instance variables values outside the class in this way, directly using the object name dot variable name, instance variable name, right? But if you are accessing them inside the class like this in read method, how you are using the name variable? You are not using object here. Directly you are mentioning the variable name because this class has these two instance variables as members, and the read also is another member of this user class. So members of the same class can directly access them. For example, for more understanding, uh, for example, you are belonging to electronics and communications engineering, some section A or B. Say you are in section. If you want to communicate with all your friends who are also there in the same section, in section B, you can directly communicate with them, right? You can because they are available in your same classroom where you are sitting, they are also sitting in the same classroom, so you can directly go and interact with them. You can call them by their name and talk to them. But if there is somebody else which who is not there in your ECE, somebody is there in, your friend is there in some CSE or somewhere, in another building or in some other college or something, how will you talk to them? You cannot directly talk to them, right? So you need to make a call through your mobile phone, and you need to know the mobile number of that your friend, and make a call, and you can talk to them. So it is just like within the members of your family who are residing in the same house. To communicate with each other, we need not travel, or we need not make a phone call. We can directly communicate with them because they will be beside you only. But if you want to communicate with some other person who is outside your family, outside your home, you have to go out of your home to talk them physically, meet them physically and talk to them, or else you have to make a phone call, right? So in the same way, every class has some set of members. So the user class has two instance variables and one read method here. So all these members can communicate with each other directly. They don't require an object to access one another. So for the read method to access the variable names value or variable role value, it doesn't require an object. It can directly use their name variable directly. But user demo is another class, right? It is not part of this user class. This class is different and this class is different. So here you have read method, but the main method, is it part of user class? It is part of another family, another class. So that's why we require an object here. Object is like a mobile phone to communicate, right? So you have to create an object for that class in which this method is defined or these variables are defined, and using that object you have to access those values. If they are methods, you make a call to those methods like this: object name followed by method name, and if that method receives parameters, within the parentheses you have to mention those parameters. If it is a variable, directly you can call them like this in a system.out.println statement. Okay, so this is how you access the members of a class from outside the class. So there are two ways of accessing variables and methods of a class. One is within the class, the other one is outside the class. If you are accessing those members within the class, you don't require an object to access them. If you are accessing them outside the class, then you require an object to call them. These points must be clear. And why I'm saying these instance variables means, object is nothing but an instance of a class. By definition, what is an object? Object is a instance of a class. Okay, so by creating an object, each object will have its own copy of this two instance variables, and it will have its own copy of this read method, right? So that means what? U1 has separately its Xerox copy of all the members of this class user. So what are the three members? Name, role, and read method. So a memory will be created for this U1 object, and in that memory some space will be allocated for storing the name variables value and role variables value and the code which is part of the read method also. Okay, so similarly, when you create another object u2, u2 will be separately created some other different memory location, and in that memory location it will have another name variables value and another role variables value, another copy of read method. So in that way, by creating objects, you are creating a physical, you are giving a physical existence to the members of the class. Before creating an object, there is no physical existence. What do you mean by physical existence? If memory is allocated to an entity in your program, then we say it has some physical existence. If memory is not allocated, then we say it doesn't have any physical existence. So though you have created a class definition here and added some methods and instance variables in that class, they'll not have any physical existence until you create an object for that class here. Okay, only when you create an object they'll get a physical existence. It is just like I have a application form, an examination application form at the end of the semester you want to attend your semester subject examinations, right? So for that you need to apply for your exams, or which subjects you want to apply and which semester exam you want to write, which year, which branch, all these things you need to mention in that application form, right? So say the corresponding or the concerned person who will ask you to apply this apply for this examination will have a original copy of that application. So the same copy must be printed in multiple Xerox copies and must be distributed to all the students, right? So in that application you will have the same field names, that is the name of the student, roll number of the student, branch, year, semester, all these things. All the field names will be same, but the values of those field in place of, for name field, what will be the value for Srujan? It will be Srujan Kumar. For somebody else it will be something else. For Dikshit it will be Dikshit. For Srujan the roll number is 456. For Dikshit it may be something else, for say 435, right? So the values will be changing but the field names will be same, right? So by creating Xerox copies, what you are doing, we are physically creating the more number of copies for that original blueprint. The blueprint original copy will not be filled with any name, any by any student. It will be as it is there. So class is also just like a blueprint, like an original copy. And when you create an object, a duplicate copy of all the members of the class will be created for that class. So if you create n number of objects, then n number of copies will be created. So because all the students have their own copy of the application, similarly object also will have its own copy of all the variables in that class and all the methods in that class. So when you are making a call to read method using u1, you are calling the copy of the read method which is created for u1 object, right? And similarly when you are making a call to read method using u2 object, you are making a call to that copy of u2's version of the read method. And when you are accessing u1 dot name, you are accessing u1 object's name field value. And when you are accessing u2 dot name, that is different. So if you make any change to u2 dot name, that will not be reflected with u1 dot name. u1 dot name is separate and u2 dot name is separate. So if you make a change to u2 dot name, that will not be reflected in u1. Okay, so because object is nothing but a Xerox copy, and that's the reason why we call it as a instance. Instance means copy. And because these variables are created separately for every object has its own copy of those variables. That's why we call them as instance variables. We call them as instance variables. Okay, but coming to this parameters that are passed to this read method, that is n and x, they are not called instance variables. They will be same for all the objects. Separate memory will not be created for all the objects exclusively. So it will be same for all the objects. Similarly, if you create a variable here, int say I here, so this will not be a instance variable, this is a local variable, because for every object there will not be a separate copy of this I. Name and role will have a separate copy for every object, but these local variables and the parameters that you pass, they'll not have a separate copy, right? And one more type of variables are there which we didn't yet see, which is called as a static variable. Say static, say some z, right? So this is not an instance variable. They'll be declared with a keyword static and followed by the data type of that variable, int or float, whatever it is you can use, and make that variable static. So what is the meaning of the static means, when you create a variable like this as a static, this variable will be only one in copy for all the objects. All the objects will share the same z value. Say if I assign z is equal to 10 here, if I try to access u1 dot z here, u1 dot z will be 10 only. Even if I try to access u2 dot z also, that will be 10 only. It will not be, because it is shared by all the objects. There is only one copy of that. Instance variables will have multiple copy, one copy separately for each object. If there are n objects, then there will be n copies of those instance variables. But static variable, irrespective of how many objects you create, there will be only one copy for all the objects together. So that's the reason why we call them as static variables, and we don't require object to call them, but instead we can use the name of the class. Instead of creating an object, you can directly use the name of the class like this, user.z. You don't require an object to access the static variables value. And even method also, you can also qualify a method as a static. I can make this read method also as a static method. So if I make a read method as static method, then even to call the read method also, I don't require an object. Instead of object, I can directly use the name of the class user and call the read method directly like this. So here also I can make a call like this, user.read. Okay. So that is static method and static variables. So they don't require object to call the methods or variables of a class, right? And you must have noticed even the main method is a static method, and main method will be called from outside a program even before you create an object for the class, even before you create an object for the class. And that's the reason why we are making this as a static, because static methods do not require object to call the main method, right? Then how to call those methods? Using the class name, right? So that's the reason why we save our program with the class name in which the main method is defined. So what is the class name here? User demo. If you want to make a call to the main method, because it is a static method, you can call it as user demo dot main. So when you compile and run your program, what you're doing, you're using the command java and directly making a call to user demo. So when you make a call to that user demo class, automatically whatever static method is there, that will be automatically invoked. And that's the reason why we have a restriction for storing the file name as same as that of the class name in which the main method is defined. Okay, so now do you have any doubts?